What's up, everybody, and welcome to another edition of High Mythology. Yeah, the show where we get higher than Tsarevena at midnight and tell you guys silly stories from folklore and mythology. Today, we are bringing you a little bit of Slavic mythology with the story The Frog Tsarevena. I think I pronounced that right. I may not have.
I'm not going to pronounce any of those right. I'm sorry.
Yeah. You guys get to hear Kimbo murder some Slavic names today.
Really bad. I'm sorry.
With
I'm
us.
trying, but they're good stories.
As always, been a staple of our last few. We have still Jeff rocking them choir keys. Beautifully done, sir. Beautifully done. And, So without further ado, Kimbo, why don't you go ahead and jump into the story?
Put the pipe down. Sorry.
Oh, shit.
All right. In olden times, in a time long before present days, in a certain tsardom of an empire far across the blue seas and behind the high mountains, there lived a Tsar and his Tsarista.
Tsarista? Is that like the ancient Slavic version of a barista?
I don't know. I'm
she made the Tsar his
queen.
coffee. I know. I would think the same thing.
Okay. I was like...
I would want to say Tsarevena, I'm guessing, would be princess, right? That'd probably be princess.
No, it's his wife.
Wife? Okay, yeah.
The Tsar had lived long into the white world and through long living had become old. He had 3 sons. Tsareviches. All of them young, brave, and unmarried, and all together in such a sort that they could not be described by words spoken in a tale or written down with a pen.
Which is exactly what they did here.
Yep.
They spoke it in a tale.
Contradicting, man.
And wrote it down with a goddamn pen.
During the long white days, they flew...
Whoa. Let's not start the story by fucking bringing race into this.
That's not my fault. I'm just reading the story. I'm going for it, as is. During the long white days, they flew about on their fiery, beautiful horses like bright hawks under a blue sky. And all 3 were handsome and clever, but the handsomest and cleverest was the youngest. And he was Tsarevich Ivan.
Ivan? And it's because I watched Rocky growing up, but the second I hear Ivan, it instantly goes to the Russian from Rocky 4.
Nice.
Yeah, so young Dolph Lundgren is the young brother.
Nice. One day, the Tsar summoned his 3 sons to his presence and said,
My dear children, ye have now arrived at man's estate. And it's time for you to think of marriage. Yes, that's right, get a wife, or get gone. I desire you to select maidens to be loving wives to you, and to me dutiful daughters-in-laws. They take, therefore, you well-arched bows. What the fuck is coming out of my mouth? And arrows, which have been hardened in the fire. Go into the untrodden field wherein no one is permitted to hunt. Draw thy bows tight and shoot in different directions, and in whatsoever courts the arrow shall fall, there demand your wives to be. She who brings to each his arrow shall be his bride.
You know, those commas is where you're supposed to stop and breathe.
I don't breathe. I am a king. A king has no time for breathing, nor stopping sentences, or periods, or exclamation points, or any of that.
So the princes made their arrows, hardened them in the fire, and going into the untrodden fields, shot them off in different directions.
You can't be trotting in them fields, yo.
The eldest brother shot to the east, and the second to the west. And the youngest, Ivan, drew his bow with all his strength, and shot his arrow straight before him. On making search... On making search, the eldest brother found that his arrow had fallen into the courtyard of the boyar.
Score!
Where it laid before a tower in which were the apartments of maidens.
Yeah.
The second brother's arrow had fallen into the courtyard of a rich merchant's... I feel like I'm missing words. It had fallen into the courtyard of a rich merchant's...
Manor?
Who traded. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
With foreign countries. Clearly,
He trades with foreigners. Don't trust him.
It had pierced the window at which the merchant's daughter, a lovely girl,
Yeah, not my fucking
was standing.
window.
It was right next to the lovely girl, so she could almost got her head cut off or poked out.
It actually stuck her, and she had to go get surgery. And that's why she's called One-Eyed Willie.
Nice.
I came up with a better name for that. One-Eyed Windy.
Okay, so, but Ivan's arrow could not be found at all. So Ivan searched in deep sorrow and grief. For 2 whole days he wandered in the woods and fields, and on the third day,
Where's my fucking arrow?
he came by chance to a boggy swamp, where the black soil gave way under the foot. And in the middle of the swamp came upon a great frog, which held in her mouth the arrow he had shot. When he saw this, he turned to run away, leaving his arrow behind him. But the frog called, "Quack, quack. Ivan, come to me, take thine arrow. If thou wilt not take me for thy wife, thou wilt get out of this marsh. Thou will never get out of this marsh."
Thou will never get out of this marsh.
Sorry. And my froggy voice is terrible.
Got a little froggy there. It sounds like you've got a little frog in the throat. Way to add to that, Jeff.
Ivan was greatly surprised to hear the frog speak and was at a loss at what to do. But at last he took the arrow, and picked up the frog, and put her in the fold of his coat, and went sadly home. When he arrived at the palace, he told his story to his brothers.
Looks like I'm fucking a frog tonight.
And his brothers jeered at him. And the 2 beautiful maidens whom they were to marry also laughed at him. So that he went on weeping to the Tsar and said, Sorry.
How can I ever take this frog to wife? A little thing that says qua, qua. She is not my equal. To live one's life long is not like crossing a river or walking over a field. How shall I live with a frog? I must break her.
Break her.
Ivan, calm down.
But the king made the answer.
Take her, for such was my royal word, and such is thy fate.
What a dick dad.
Yeah.
Nah, bitch, you're gonna marry that frog.
You are going to fuck that frog, and we will ridicule you for the rest of your life for it, Ivan. That's what you get for messing with your arrow.
So even though Ivan wept for a long time, there was no further word to be said, and since no one cannot go contrary to his fate. Okay. So the sons of the Tsars were married, the eldest to the nobleman's daughter, the second to the daughter of the merchant, and the youngest was married to the frog. And when the day came, he went to the palace in a closed carriage, and the frog was carried on a golden dish.
Check out my golden frog platter.
And so they lived a long time or a short time. And Ivan treated the frog with gentleness and kindness until a day came when the Tsar summoned his 3 sons before him and said,
That's great storytelling right there. He lived for a long time or a short time. It's up to you. You decide. Whatever
I'm
flows
literally
better.
reading this from the story.
Oh, no, I know you're reading it.
It's legal.
I'm not
It's legal.
I'm not blaming you. I'm just saying that's a very funny way to tell the story. He lived for a long time.
Or a short time.
Or-
I
or
often
short
read these
time.
stories a lot that say the same fucking thing. I'm like, pick one, guys. Come on. Just pick
He
one.
lived forever or 2 years. What? Dear children, now that ye are wedded, I am minded to try the skill of my daughters-in-law in the art of housewifery. Oh my god, he's about to fuck his daughter-in-laws. Young son, let me take that frog for just one eve.
No.
Take from my storeroom. Therefore, each of you a piece of linen cloth. Each of you shall bid his own wife make a shirt, and come to me tomorrow topless. Bring it to me tomorrow in the morning.
Wow.
He's up to something.
Frog.
That old man's gonna try to fuck that frog.
The 2 elder brothers took the linens to their wives, who at once called together their maidservants and nurses, and all set to work busily to cut the stuff and to sew it. And as they worked, they laughed to think that Ivan was saying, "What would his little frog make for him to bring to the Tsar tomorrow?" Ivan went home looking as if he had swallowed a needle. Don't do this one.
How can my little frog wife make a shirt?
Can you imagine this guy weeping at the same time? With a voice like that.
I am so sad. How can my little frog wife make a shirt? She who only creeps on the floor and croaks. Wait, isn't that what most wives do? Yeah.
And his bright head hung down lower than his shoulders. Oh. It's going to be a condom on my back.
Yep, just gonna wrap it.
When she saw him, however, the frog spoke. "Quaw, quaw, Ivan, why art thou so downcast? Hast thou heard from the Tsar thy father a hard and unpleasant word?" Ivan says,
How can I fail to be downcast? The Tsar, my father, has ordered that thou shalt sew a shirt out of this linen for him tomorrow.
Nice. "Worry not, and have no fear. Go to bed and rest. There is more wisdom in the morning than in this evening." And when the Tsar Ivan had laid himself down to sleep, she called the servants and bade them to cut the linen that he had brought into small pieces. Then, dismissing them, she took the pieces in her mouth and hopped to the window and threw them out, saying, "Winds, winds, fly abroad with this linen shreds, and sew me a shirt for the Tsar, my father-in-law." And before one could tell it, was back in the room, flew a shirt, all stitched and nicely finished.
Yeah, hitting them stitches.
Next morning, when Ivan awoke, the frog presented him with the shirt. "There it is," she said. "Take it to thy father and see if it pleases him." Ivan was greatly rejoiced, and putting the shirt under his coat, he set out to the palace, where his 2 elder brothers had already arrived. First of the eldest brothers presented his shirt to his father, and the Tsar took it, examined it, and said,
Why is this shirt so gooey? This is sewn in the common way. It is fit only to be worn in a poor man's hut. Oh, I see. That was the first son. Wrong son.
Yeah, the eldest son.
The eldest son.
Then he took the shirt which the second son had brought and said,
This is sewn somewhat better than the other. and is perhaps good enough for me to wear when I go to my bath, wicked burn, second son, you middle child.
But when he took the shirt that Ivan presented him, he examined it with delight, for no single seam could be seen in it, and he could not admire it enough, and gave the orders that it should be given to him to be worn on only the greatest holidays.
It's my holiday shirt. I don't mind the frog slime.
Nice. Ivan went home happy, but his two brothers said to one another, "We need not laugh at Ivan's wife. She's not really a frog, but a witch."
She's a witch frog.
A second time, the Tsar summoned his 3 sons and said to them,
My dear children, I wish to taste bread baked by the hands of my daughters-in-law, those rugged, lustful hands. Bring me tomorrow morning. Therefore, each of you a loaf of soft white bread. Oh my God, I talk so strange sometimes.
Ivan returned home looking very sad, and his bright head hung lower than his shoulders. And when the frog saw him, she said, "Quack, quack, quack." Ivan, why art thou so sad? Hast thou heard a harsh and unfriendly word from the Tsar thy father? And Ivan replies,
Why should I not be sad? The Tsar, my father, has bidden that thou bake him bread for tomorrow, a loaf of the softest white bread.
More not, Ivan. Be not sad for nothing. Go to bed and sleep in comfort. The morning is wiser than the evening. And when he was asleep, she ordered the servants to bring a pastry pot, put flour and cold water into it, and then make a paste. She bade them to put the pot into the cold oven, and when they were gone, she hopped before the oven door and said, "Bread, bread, be baked, clean, white, and soft as snow." Instantly, the oven door flew open and the loaf rolled out, a cooked, crisp, and white. And now the 2 Tsarevenas, the wives of the other brothers, they hated the frog because of the shirt that she had made. And when she heard that the command of the Tsar, the wife of the eldest brother, she sent a little slave girl to spy on the frog and see what she would do.
Frog espionage.
So the little slave girl hid herself before the cold watch and went to tell her mistress what she had seen and heard.
I saw some shit.
And
I
so
heard some things.
the eldest 2 brothers, their wives, they tried to imitate what the frog did, and they dissolved their flour into cold water, poured the paste into the cold ovens, and then repeated it over, saying, "Bread, bread, be baked, clean, white, and soft as snow."
Frog.
I can't remember my voices for them. Should I have done something snotty? Bread, bread, be baked,
bread, be
clean,
baked.
white, and soft as snow.
I mean, I am like totally ready for this bread to be baked, and it's not even fucking baked
Valley
yet.
girls
I've
don't
been
know how to
sitting
bake
here forever in front of this oven, telling it to bake, and you won't even bake for me, and I don't know what I did to upset you.
But the ovens remained cold, and the paste would not bake. Seeing this in anger,
Bake!
they gave the poor slave girl a cruel beating and ordered more flour, made paste with hot water, and heated the ovens. But the spilled paste had floured all about, and clogging the flues had made them uneasy, made them useless. Sorry.
Don't you hate it when you spill some paste in the flour and it clogs your flues?
So,
I hate having my flues
one
clogged.
of their loaves burned on one side and the others took hers out underbaked. And in the morning, when Ivan awoke, the frog sent him to the palace with his bread wrapped in a towel, and the brothers also came with theirs. The Tsar cut the loaf of the eldest son and tasted it, and said,
Is it, is this bread from a fucking dollar store? This is garbage. Such bread might be eaten only out of misery.
Huh.
You would have to kill me before I would eat this goddamn bread.
And then he sent it to the kitchen that it might be given to the beggars. He tasted that of the second son's and said,
Give this to my hounds. Maybe they will stomach it, although they do have refined palates.
And then when Ivan unwrapped his loaf, however, all exclaimed in admiration, for it was so splendid that it would be impossible to make one like it.
Check my
It
loaf.
could only be told of in tales. It was adorned with all kinds of cunning designs, and on its sides were the rots of the Tsar's cities with their high walls and gates. The Tsar tasting it and sent it away, saying,
This is some good shit. Put this on my table on Easter Sunday, when we shall have royal visitors.
Nice.
The absolute shiznit. Is this King's Hawaiian rolls? Where did you get this recipe?
So Ivan went home, rejoicing. A third time the Tsar sent for his 3 sons and said to them,
My dear children, I know at this point it seems like I am incredibly needy and very over-judgmental of your spouses.
Yep.
But it is fitting that all women should know how to weave and embroider in gold and silver. And I would see
I don't
if thy
fucking know
wives are skilled also in this. Take therefore, each of you from my storehouse, silk, gold, and silver. And tomorrow bring me each of you a carpet, for I have need of carpentries. This floor is drafty, I tell you, drafty.
Nice. When Ivan brought sadly home the silk and gold and the silver, the frog was sitting on a chair. Quaw, 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 she says.
Wow, she's going to town.
Ivan, why dost thou mourn? And why dost thou bright head hang lower than thy shoulders? Hast thou heard from the Tsar, thy father, a cruel and bitter word? Ivan says,
Have I not cause to mourn? The shirt thou hast sewn, and the bread thou hast baked. But now my father has bidden that thou make for tomorrow a carpet of this gold and silver and silk. How is it a frog can make a carpet?
Fret not, Ivan. Lie thee down and rest. The day has more wisdom than the night.
You say that all the time. I don't know what it means.
Wow, I lost myself. Sorry. As soon as he was asleep, she called the servants and bade them to take scissors and cut to pieces all the silk, the gold, and the silver. And then, sending them away, threw it out the window and said, Winds, winds, fly aboard with these pieces of silk, of gold, and of silver, and make me a carpet such as my dear father used to cover his windows. And hardly had she said the last word when back into the room flew an embroidered carpet.
Wait, a carpet for the windows? So in those days, the carpet didn't match the drapes.
Nope.
The carpet was the drapes.
Wow. Now again, the wives of the elder brothers, they had sent another little slave girl to watch, and she ran to quickly tell them. And they, thinking that this time the charm must work, cut out all of their silks into precious threads into little pieces, and threw them out in the windows, and repeated, Winds, winds, flying aboard with these pieces of silk and of gold and of silver, and make us a carpet of such as our dear father used to cover their windows.
Wind, just make me a fucking carpet already. I mean, I've been, asking you forever, I feel like, and I don't think this is a real take relationship from your side. There's no give, Wind.
But they waited a long time, and the winds brought them no carpets.
I've waited like 3.5 minutes.
Then the women got angry at the loss of such rich threads. After beating the little slave girl more cruelly than ever
Jesus,
before,
the poor slave girl.
she sent servants hastily for more materials and called together their nurses, maidens to help them, and began to work at weaving and embroidery. In the morning, when Ivan arose, the frog sent him to the palace to show the carpet with his brothers. The Tsar looked at the carpet of the eldest one and said,
Take this to the stables and let it be covered in horse shit, 'cause it will do to cover my poorest horse when it is raining. Or be covered by his rain of shit, I say. Garbage carpet.
He looked at the carpet of the second one and said,
Put this in the hall. It may do, perhaps. To wipe my boots upon in bad weather. Wicked burn, middle child. No one will ever love you.
Wow. But when Ivan unrolled his carpet, so wondrously was it adorned with gold and silver fashionings that it could not be imagined, and the Tsar ordered that it be kept with the greatest care, and to be put on his own table on the most solemnest feast days. The king then says,
Now, my dear children, your wives, my daughter-in-laws, have done all that I bade them to do. Bring them tomorrow, therefore, to the palace to dine, in order that I may congratulate them in person and make awkward comments that seem like advances.
might hit on one of them.
I will hit on all of them, especially the frog. For she has skills in the arts, and that is noble.
The two elder brothers went home to their wives, saying to one another, Now he must bring his wife frog with him to the royal audience for all to see.
Fucking wife frog.
But Tsarevich.
Tsarevich.
Fuck, I keep meaning to just say Ivan. So Ivan went home weeping, and his bright head hung lower than his shoulders.
I am now
When he
sad.
reached home, the frog was sitting at the door. Quah, quah, she said. Ivan, why dost thou weep? Hast thou heard sharp and unfeeling words from the Tsar thy father? Ivan says,
I don't think he ever loved my older brother.
One.
Beer sip.
Why should I not weep? Thou hast sewn a shirt, thou hast baked the bread, and thou hast woven a carpet. But after all, thou art but a frog. And the Tsar my father commands that I bring thee tomorrow to the palace, to royal audience. How, to my shame, can I show thee to the people as my wife?
Dick.
You look like a frog, and I am sad.
Weep no more. Go to thy bed and sleep. There is more wisdom in the morning than in the evening.
I still don't fucking understand that woman every night with that shit.
The next day, Ivan awoke, and she said, Pay no heed to what others think. The Tsar, thy father, was pleased with his shirt, his bread, and his carpet. Maybe he will also be pleased with his daughter-in-law when I shall come. Do thou go to the plate. You fucking go to the palace, and I will come like an hour after you.
Nice.
Sorry. Make the respects to your father. And then, when you hear me rumbling and a knocking, say, Come hither, my poor little frog, into her little basket. No, I don't know what it says. Hither comes my poor little frog in her little basket.
Here comes my
poor little frog in her basket.
In her little basket.
Little basket.
Yes. I don't know why.
Frog
So
in a
Ivan
basket.
drove away to the palace. I'm just going to skip. Sorry. Somewhat cheered on by her words.
I'm gonna fucking do this. I've got this. I'm a strong man.
When he was out of sight, the frog went to the window and called, "Winds, winds, bring me for once at once a rich carriage of state, with white horses, footmen, outriders, and runners." And instantly a horn blew, and horsemen came galloping upon the street, followed by 6 milk-white horses drawn in a golden coach.
Racist again, man. Why's it gotta be whites only on the horse department?
As for
Frog.
herself, she threw off her skin of a frog and was transformed into a maiden so beautiful that she could not be described by neither words nor in a tale with a pen in writing. I can't describe her. She was more prettier.
And now for my bad comment of the day. What if in the end he can't get it up for the lady and she has to put back on the frog suit every time they get down?
That's so fucked. Well, based off his sadness, I don't think he could get it up for her in the first place.
Yeah. I'm a lady, but I'm still a frog on the inside. So if we want babies, I'm just going to go shit out some eggs in the toilet and you need to come to spread your seed on.
Meanwhile, at the palace...
Meanwhile...
companies were assembled, and the 2 elder brothers, with their lovely brides, attired in silk and laden with shining jewels.
I brought out my finest jewels
And they all
for this.
laughed
It better
at
be
Ivan.
worth it.
Standing alone, saying, "Where is thou wife?
Yeah.
Why didn't thou bring her in a kitchen cloth? And art thou certain that thou didn't choose the greatest beauty of the swamp?"
Where's your frog girlfriend,
I really had to really say that
Ivan?
slowly. Sorry, I looked at each word and just said, "I'm sorry." Damn, these words are fucking crazy.
What, you didn't want to get slime on your fancy coat, Ivan?
But while they poked fun at poor Ivan, suddenly there came a great rumbling and shouting, and the Tsar supposed that some king or prince was arriving to visit him, but Ivan simply
It
said,
must be a king or prince. Be not disturbed, father. It is only my poor little frog coming in her little basket.
It's dirty when you say it that way, Ivan.
Nevertheless, everybody ran to the palace windows and saw the riders galloping. A golden coach drawing 6 milk-white horses flew up to the entrance, and out of it came the lovely maiden, such a beauty as to make the sun and moon ashamed when she looked at them. She came to Ivan, and he took her hand and led her to the Tsar, his father. And the Tsar himself seated her at the royal table to dine.
I like to imagine that when all the horses were going by, all the milk-white horses are going by, and off on a field to the side, there's just a fucking palomino and a brown horse just both sitting there shaking their
I
head.
don't know what the fucking albino's
Yeah,
taking.
they're just shaking their head like, assholes. When will times change?
As they all began to feast and make merry, the wives of the elder sons whispered amongst themselves and said, "It was as though we thought. She is truly a witch. Let us watch carefully and watch she does, and be careful to do likewise."
It's a very strangely worded.
Well, they didn't. I don't think they realized this, but they didn't finish the fucking.
They didn't finish the sentence?
Yeah. There's no quotation lines to that mark where the end of that fucking her words are.
It just keeps going. Maybe she's talking, maybe she's narrating also.
So watching that they saw that the frog wife did so frog wife bitch, she didn't drink the last dregs of her wine cup, but she poured them into her left sleeve. So the last few sips of her wine cup she would pour into her left sleeve. Okay. Mm-hmm. And where the fuck did I go?
I feel like we skipped. Wasn't she just rolling up?
No, Tsar seated her at the table to dine.
Yeah, that's right.
And then you went off on a joke.
Yeah, and then I went off on a whole tangent.
Okay. And when she was done eating the bones of the roasted swan, she put them into her right sleeve. And so,
swan bones.
the elder sisters, the two women, fucking wives of the elder brothers, they both did as she did. So they took the fucking wine, they poured it in their left sleeve, and they put the bones in their right.
I know what she's gonna do. She's making a stock.
When they rose from the table, the musicians began to play, and the Tsar led out Ivan's wife to dance. So she's gonna dance with the king, her father-in-law.
Oh, of course she is, because the king wants to rub that bone up against her.
She danced with exceeding grace, and as she danced, she waved her left sleeve, and at one end of the banquet hall, a lake appeared, 1 rod deep.
1 rod deep.
She waved her right sleeve, and swans and geese appeared swimming on it. The Tsar and his guests were astonished, could not sufficiently praise her cleverness.
That is very clever, but there is now a tiny lake in my house with geese.
When she finished dancing, the lake and the fowls upon it all disappeared.
Thank Jesus.
Then the wives of the elder sons began to dance, and as they waved their left sleeves, all the guests were splashed with the wine dregs. And when they waved their right sleeve, the bones flew out.
And one someone with bones. Ow! What the fuck was that?
One nearly put out the Tsar's eyes.
Oh, Jesus. Ow!
At this he was angered and straightway ordered them out of the palace, and so they went home in shame and dishonor.
Party's over. Party's over.
Now, after seeing what a beautiful creature his little frog wife had become, Ivan thought to himself,
What if she should turn back into a frog again?
Wow. And while they were dancing, he hastened home, searched till he found the frog skin, and threw it into his fire. His wife arriving, ran in search for her skin. And when she could not find it, guessed what he had done. She immediately fell into a weeping and said, Alas, alas, Ivan, that thou couldn't not have patience even for a little while. Now thou hast lost me forever, unless thou canst find me beyond 3 times 9 lands, in the 13th Tarzan, in the empire that lies under the fucking sun.
Boom!
Know that I am the fairy Visla the Wise. Okay.
Oh, is it Vasila the Beautiful?
No, Vasila the Wise.
Different Vasila.
She's a fairy.
Okay.
There's a lot of Vasilisas.
Mm-hmm.
I take it. And then, when she had said this, she turned into a blue dove and flew out the window. Ivan wept until his tears were like a river. And then he said a prayer to God, and bidding the Tsar his father and the Tsarisa his mother farewell, he went withered, his eyes looked in search of his lost wife. Okay.
I withered in my eyes, searched west for my lost love.
Yeah, okay, so he bounced. He went to go look for her.
Bounce.
He went on and on, whether it was near or far.
There they go with that again. He went on a far, long, long way, or maybe not, maybe only a mile.
It gets better. Or a short road or a long road. A tale is soon told, but such a journey is not made quickly. He traveled through thrice 9 lands, asking everyone he met where he could find Vasilisa the Wise.
Thrice 9.
But none could answer till he reached the empire that lied under the sun. There, in the 13th Tarzan kingdom, he met an old gray-beard man who he told his story and then asked this question. He replies, old man, Well, I do know of Vasilisa the Wise. She is a powerful fairy, whose father, in a fit of anger, turned her into a frog for 3 years. The time was almost up, and had thou not burned her frog skin, she would have been with thee now. I cannot tell thee where she is, but take this fucking ball, this magic ball, which will roll wherever thou'st commanded, and follow it. So Ivan thanked the old graybeard and threw the ball he gave him onto the ground. And at his command, it straightway began to roll. It rolled a short way, and it rolled a long way, and it rolled across a pebbly plain into a dread forest. And into the middle of the forest, he came upon a little hut that stood on hen's legs, and it turned continuously, round and round.
Oh,
Then Ivan said to it,
shit. We know where this is leading, long-time listeners.
Little hut, stand the way thy mother placed thee, with thy back to the wood, and thy front to me. Show me that hut door.
And immediately the hut turned about facing him and stood still. Ivan climbed up one of the hen's legs and entered the door, and there he saw the oldest of the Baba Yagas, the grandmother of all witches, lying on the corner stove of 9 bricks, with one lip on the shelf, her nose thrust upon the chimney, and her huge iron mortar in the corner. Mortar.
Yeah, mortar
In the
and pestle.
corner. Boo! She cried, brandishing her teeth. Who is this to me? Until now I've never seen with my eyes, nor heard with my ears any spirit of any Russian. But today it is a Russian who enters my house. Wow! Ivan, camest thou hither from thine own wish, or because thou wast compelled? Ivan says,
Enough by my own will, and twice as much by force. I don't know what I'm saying, but it's deep. It's some deep shit. But for shame.
he's got no choice, is what he's saying.
But for shame, thou hast not offered me to eat and to drink and prepared me a bath, because I'm a dirty boy.
As is tradition. If you
As is tradition.
you come upon a strange traveler, you fucking offer them food and a bath.
Yeah.
Then Baba Yaga, being pleased with his spirit, gave him food, drink, and made ready a bath for him. And when he had refreshed himself, he related to her the whole affair that he had just been through.
And then I had this bath that
And
would've
when
been
she
way better
learned-
with bubbles.
She was helping him. And when she learned that Vasilisa the Wise was in truth his wife, she said, I will indeed render thee this service, not for love of thee, but because I hate her fucking dad. The fairies fly across this forest every day, bringing messages for her father,
Fucking ferry traffic,
and
man.
stops at my house to fucking rest. Remain here, and as soon as she enters, seize her by the head. When she feels herself caught, she will turn into a frog, and from a frog into a lizard, and from a lizard into a snake, and last of all, she will transform herself into an arrow. Pew. Pew. Do thou take the arrow and break it into 3 pieces, and then she will be thine forever. But take heed, when thou... Oh, fuck. Take heed, but don't fucking let her go.
Don't let
Don't
that
let her
arrow
go.
go.
The Baba Yaga concealed she concealed Ivan behind the stove, and scarcely was hidden when in flew Vasilisa the Wise. Sorry.
Vasilisa the Wise. Do we need to take a quick break to get some refreshments?
No, we're almost there. We got this, right? I still got
We got this. We got this. Listeners out there, I hope you're enjoying.
We're gonna push. The Baba Yaga concealed. Oh yeah. Okay, so she came in. Ivan crept up noiselessly behind her and seized her by the head. She instantly turned into a great green frog. And he laughed with joy to see her in that form as he knew so well. When she turned into a lizard, however, the cold touch of the creature was so loathsome that he let go of his hold, and immediately the lizard darted through a crack in the floor. Baba Yaga upbraided him, saying, How'st thou win back such a wife? Thou cannot touch the skin of a creeping lizard, and thou couldst not keep her. Thou shalt never see her again here. But if you'd like, Go check out my sister, and she might help thee.
Check out that sister.
So, Ivan did so. The ball rolled along the way, and it rolled a short way across the mountain into a deep ravine, and here he came upon the second wretched little hovel, turning around on hen's legs. He made it stand still and entered it as before, and there on the stove, with one lip on the shelf and her nose propped up the ceiling, was the skinny grand aunt of all witches. To help her, to her, he told his story, and for the sake of his sister, the Baba Yaga, also agreed to help him. Vasilisa the Wise, she said, rests in my house too. But if it comes time thou let her... What? Okay, hang on. But if you let her go this time, you won't fucking catch her again here. Pretty much. There's a lot of thous and mayest and nevers.
Thou mayest never catcheth her against before.
So she hid Ivan, and when Vasilisa came flying in, he sprang open and seized her, and did not flinch even when she turned into a lizard into his hands. But when he beheld the lizard changing into a fierce and deadly snake, he cried out in alarm, and loosened his hold. The snake wriggled through the doorway and disappeared. Sorry, homie. Then Ivan was exceedingly sorrowful. So they did not even hear the reproaches from the old witch. So bitterly did he weep that she pitied him and said,
I pity the fool.
Little enough thou deserve this wife of thine. But if thou choosest, go to my younger sister, and see if she will help thee. For Vasilisa the Wise stops to rest also at her house. So plucking up her heart somewhat, Ivan obeyed. The ball rolled along the way, and it rolled a short way, and it crossed a broad river, and there, on the shore, Ivan came upon the third hut, wretcheder than the other two put together, turning around on hen's legs, and as it was the second grand aunt of all of the witches. She too consented to aid him, and said,
Oh, but remember, big boy, if this time thy heart fails and thy hand falters, never again shall you see your wife again in this white world. I don't know why I had to mention white in that at all, but for some reason it just sounded like the thing I should do, right? Did you bring me my Virginia Slims? You know I can't get anything done without at least half a pack of them Virginia Slims in me.
And so the third time Ivan hid himself, and presently in came flying Vasilisa the Wise. And this time he had a prayer to God as he sprang out and seized her in the strong grasp. In vain she turned into a frog, and then into a cold lizard, and then into a deadly, slithering snake. Ivan's grip did not loosen. At last she turned into an arrow, and this he immediately snatched and broke into 3 pieces. At that same moment,
I must break you.
The lovely Vasilisa, in her true maiden shape, appeared and threw herself into his arms. Now, Ivan, I'll give myself up to thy will. That's what she says to him.
It came true. He did break her, just like he said he was going to when they first met.
Yeah. The Baba Yaga gave them a present of a white mare, which could fly like the wind, and on the 4th day it set them down safe and sound at the Tsar's palace. He received them with joy and thankfulness, and made a great feast. And after that, he made Ivan the Tsar in his stead.
Tsar it up, Ivan. Ivan the Tsar. Tsarevich Ivan.
And that's it.
Yeah. This has been Russian fairy tales.
This is your references.
Oh yeah, these are references. Someone's a little high from the high mythology. Woo!
No, we read this exactly from.
Yeah, we read it pretty much straight from the book. It was recorded by our man.
You can at least get his name right, Dustin.
I know, I did last time so good, but this time I feel like I'm so high I'm gonna fuck it up. Alexander Afransiev.
I hope so.
With and it's got illustrations by Ivan Biblibin. I pronounced that right.
Bilibin.
Biblibin. Biblibin.
Bilibin.
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 Ivan and Bilibin.
Ivan
That does
Bilibin.
sound fucking awesome to say.
Yeah. Alexander
Repeating.
Afransiev.
You said that.
Afanaas.
I told you this was a long one. We smoked too many bowls.
Oh, that's, I don't even know if that's a Y or an R. That's confusing. Anyway, he's a good guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Old school tales.
Afransiev. I got that right. Translation by Post Wheeler.
So what do you guys think? Fucking interesting.
I thought it was interesting. I dig these Russian fairy tales and whatnot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Russians
I have fun with them.
They always got Baba
stuff.
Yaga in it.
Baba
Every fucking one
Yaga's
of them.
all up in this bitch.
That's all they ever talk about.
Baba Yaga is all
that
over.
bitch that lives in the woods.
Yeah. Hey there,
does
big
magic.
boy.
I swear to God, her house moves on top of chicken legs.
Come hang out in my house on top of chicken legs out in the forest. I promise I won't cook you too much.
We just sit him down and spread him wide.
We're just gonna sit down and play a little skip bow while we smoke some Virginia Slims and talk about politics.
You want some taffy?
I got taffies in a jar over there if you want them. I would advise though not to have too much. I got them in 1995.
But the butterscotch.
Have a butterscotch. Maybe later I'll drink one too many martinis and come on to you a little hard. Hey, big boy, you ever go down on a witch? You want to be the mortar in my pestle, if you know what I mean?
Wow.
I say that because it's dusty down there. All right, everybody.
Nice.
That was an extra rant brought to you by marijuana. Marijuana.
Which, by the way, we're still smoking that North Shore
Still
Maui.
smoking that North Shore Maui. Loving it.
I know, it's like the third fucking batch I bought.
No, third episode.
Well, we do these weekly, so makes sense.
Yeah. Huge thanks to Still Jeff. Hit them
Yes.
keys.
Thank you. Don't forget to like and subscribe.
Like and subscribe. Let us know what you think in the comments.
Give us something that you want us to fucking do that we haven't done yet.
Yeah, give us something. Throw something out. Be silly with it. You know, it doesn't matter. Anything you want.
Yeah.
There's nothing that's off limits for us as far as stories from mythology and folklore. Like,
Yeah.
we'll do anything. I'm actually working on a future fucking Jack and the Beanstalk episode.
I'm working on
So
Sinbad
that's-
the
yeah.
Sailor.
So yeah, those are
That'll be
two
fun.
things you guys can look forward to in the future.
Yeah.
But if you enjoy and if you really like the show, yeah, drop us a comment, let us know, send us a shout out.
Yeah. I'll stop what I'm fucking doing and
Yeah.
start looking this shit
Yeah.
up.
If you're trying to figure out how to get in contact with us, we have Howley Boys Productions on Facebook, at Howley Boys Productions on Twitter, Instagram, both of those things. Harass us.
Just Google search us.
Google search us. We'll pop
Holly
up.
Boys Production. We were like
Yeah.
the first one almost.
Yeah.
You'll find us.
Huge thanks to everyone for listening.
Woo.
Yeah.
Have a good
And
night.
Have a good night.